it a long time ago that I strongly believe that Professor Jonathan Moyo has seemingly all of a sudden supporting Emerson Mnangagwa is a trip for Mnangagwa to mutilate the constitution, and Professor Jonathan Moyo understands it very, very well that retired General Chwenga would be opposed to this. The war veterans would be opposed to this, and it is bound to make these two actually to fight. And for Professor Jonathan Moyo to make sure that Emerson Mnangagwa falls on this trap, he continues to write long essays to justify this mutilation of the constitution. It must be understood that Professor Jonathan Moyo knows Mnangagwa very, very well, and he has said a lot of bad things to Emerson Mnangagwa. I understand that he is unforgiving, and what happened in 2017 definitely made Professor Jonathan Moyo to be angry and to develop the attitude to revenge. To Professor Jonathan Moyo, when it comes to revenging, he knows the tools to use. Initially, he attempted to use opposition. Opposition was unwilling and not capable to do so. And then now there are numerous tools that he is using. Now he is using the tool of deceiving Emerson Mnangagwa to fall into an unconstitutional trap to extend his term of office and mutilate the constitution. This is a strategy to revenge, not actually using guns, not fighting, but simply using your brains. And this is what Professor Jonathan Moyo has successfully done. At the moment, Mnangagwa and Chwenga, they don't see eye to eye. Let me read what he has actually written to push further Emerson Mnangagwa to continue moving slowly but sure towards the snare or the trap. He says evolution of Section 95 2B since 1980 claims that Section 95 2B and 1431 are term limit provisions created or introduced by or under the Constitution, under the 2013 Constitution, are patently false. Such claims not only distort the historical record, but they also undermine the integrity of Zimbabwe's constitutional evolution. You see, when Professor Jonathan Moyo is fighting, he definitely tried to use all the words. It's just a matter of playing with the words, saying absolutely nothing. He says, let me read what he has said, then we'll analyze it later because it's quite long. In truth, while the 2013 Constitution did indeed pioneer explicit term limits for the presidency in 2013, it faithfully preserved the essence and the intent of term length and term of office provisions from the Lancaster House Constitution of 1979 as promulgated in 1980 and amended in 1987 and 2007 without imposing any numerical cap or term limit on the duration period of office outlined in Section 95 2B and 1431. These sections, though rephrased over time, have consistently maintained their form and substance, defining term lengths of office of the President and Parliament without limiting the number of permissible terms. Furthermore, it is imperative to note that term limits by definition and their only on designated individual office holders as public officials and never of public offices or institutions they serve. Section 1431 is manifestly not on or about parliamentarians, but on Parliament itself. as a public office or institution. The 2013 Constitution refrained from establishing term limits for members of Parliament whose tenure is provided under Section 121, 125, and 129 without any term limits whatsoever, besides applicable qualifications and disqualifications, thus introducing for the first time the term limit provision only for the President under Section 912, which stipulates 91 qualifications for election as President and Vice President 1 and 2. A person is disqualified for election as President or appointed as Vice President if he or she has already held office as President under this Constitution for 2 terms, whether contemporaneous or not. And for the purpose of this subsection 3 or more years, service is deemed to be a full term. Subsection substituted by Section 3B of Act 2 of 2021. This provision stands as the singular and definitive presidential term limit provision within the Constitution, aligning seamlessly with overreaching framework outlined in Section 3281, which states 328, Amendment of Constitution. In this section, constitutional bill means a bill that seeks to amend this Constitution. Term limit provision means a provision of the Constitution which limits the length of time that a person may hold or occupy a public office. By adhering to this precise formulation, the Constitution safeguards democratic principles through targeted term limitations, compelling fidelity to its historical continuity. Regarding the constitutional import of term length provisions on the presidency and parliament, thereby rejecting misguided claims by conflict mongers or their conflict mongers whose preoccupation is to breed divisions and polarize society at every turn. Below is a self-explanatory history of Section 95(2)B and 1431, which shows beyond any doubt that the 2 sections are not term limit provisions, but term length. So, term limit and term length or periods, as per the Mopongo precedent, or institutional durations of the presidents and parliament, which are essentially election cycles. 1980 version, similar to Section 95(2)B of the 2013 Constitution, term of office. It was on that Constitution, Section 29, tenure of president. The term of office of the president shall be a period of 6 years, provided that the office of the president shall become vacant on the expiration of the period the president was elected. If the president resigns his office by instruments in writing addressed to Speaker, if the president dies, if a resolution for the removal of the president from office is passed by not less than 2/3 of the total membership of the Senate and the House of Assembly sitting together. 19 version similar to Section 1431 of 2013 Constitution, term of office, typical of Professor Jonathan Moyo. I don't know what is the purpose of now comparing the old version of the Constitution with the now. Anyway, I have to read Section 63, prorogation or dissolution of Parliament. Parliament shall continue for 5 years from the date of its first sitting following a general election, unless sooner dissolved. 2, 3, 4. Parliament, unless sooner dissolved, shall last for 5 years, which period shall be deemed to commence on the day the person elected as president enters office in terms of Section 28(5) after an election referred to in Section 3B or on the day following the day of such dissolution as the case may be, and shall then stand dissolved. Provided that where the period referred to in section is extended under section 5 or 6, Parliament shall stand dissolved on the expiration of that extended period. 1987 version, similar to section 95B of the 2013 Constitution, terms of office president. Section 29, tenure of office of president. 1. The term of office of president shall be a period of 6 years, provided the president shall continue in office until the person elected as president and the next election of president assumes office. Paragraph repealed by Section 9 of Act 15 of 1990. The president may resign his office by lodging his resignation in writing with the Speaker. The president shall cease to hold office if a report prepared by a committee of Parliament appointed by the Speaker upon the request of not fewer than 1/3 of the Member of Parliament has recommended the removal of the President on the ground that he has acted in willful violation of the Constitution or that he is incapable of performing the functions of his office by reason of physical or mental incapacity or of gross misconduct, and the members of Parliament have resolved by the affirmative votes of not less than 2/3 of their total number that the president should be removed from office. A 1987 version, similar to section 1431 of the 2013 Constitution, term of office. I don't know where Professor Jonathan Moyo is taking us with this nonsense. Section 63, prorogation or dissolution Parliament, 1 up to 4. Parliament, unless sooner dissolved, shall continue for 5 years, beginning on the date when Parliament first meets after any general election, and shall then stand dissolves, provided that where the period referred to in this subsection is extended under subsection 5 or 6, Parliament, unless sooner dissolved, shall stand dissolved on the expiration of that extended period. 2007 version to section 95 of the 2013 Constitution, term of office of the President. Section 29, term of office of President. The term of office of President shall be a period of 5 years concurrent with the life of Parliament, referred to in section 63(4), or a lesser period where the President earlier dissolves Parliament in terms of section 62, or the President is elected pursuant to section 28(3)(b), or be a longer period where the life of Parliament referred to in section 63(4) is extended under section 63(5) or 6, in which event term of office of the President shall terminate on the expiration of such lesser or longer period, as the case may be, provided that the President shall continue in office until the person elected as President at the next election of President enters office. The President may resign his office by lodging the resignation in writing with the Speaker. The President shall cease to hold office if a report prepared by a joint committee of Senate and the House of Assembly, appointed by the Speaker in consultation with the President of the Senate, upon the request of not fewer than 1/3 of the members of the House of Assembly, has recommended the removal of the President on the ground that he has acted in willful violation of the Constitution or that he is incapable of performing the functions of his office by reason of physical or mental incapacity, or C, of gross misconduct, and the senators and members of the House of Assembly sitting together have resolved by the affirmation votes of not less than 2/3 of their total number that the President should be removed from office. 2007 version, similar to 1431 of the 2013 Constitution, term of office of Parliament. I don't know where Jonathan is going with this. 63, prorogation or dissolution of Parliament. 1, 2, 3, 4 sections at once. I'll read them. Parliament, unless sooner dissolved, shall last for 5 years, which period shall be deemed to commence on the day the person elected as president enters office in terms of Section 28(5) after an election referred to in Section 28(3)(a), and shall then stand dissolved, provided that where the period referred to in subsection is extended under subsection 5(6), current section 95 to be on the term of office of president, similar to version of section 29 promulgated in 1980 and amended in 1987 and 2007. 95, term of office of the president, vice president. 1 and 2. The term of office of the president extends until he or she resigns or is removed from office, or following an election, he or she is declared to be re-elected, or a new president is declared to be elected, and except as otherwise provided in this constitution, his or her term of office is 5 years and contemporaneous with the life of Parliament. Current section 1431 of the term or life of Parliament, similar to version of section 63(4), promulgated in 1980 and amended in 1987 and 2007. 4.3. Duration and dissolution of Parliament. Parliament is elected for a 5-year term which runs from the date on which the president-elect is sworn in and assumes office in terms of section 94(1)(a), and Parliament stands dissolved at midnight on the day before the first polling day in the next general election, called in terms of section 144. Let's cut the chase. Section 95 2b and 1431 are emphatically not term limit provisions. What are they, Professor Jonathan? They are term limit provisions because they clearly actually state that the office of the term of the president is 5 years, running contemporaneously with Parliament. It's 5 years. And then it goes further to say a president should not serve for more than 2 terms, which means a president cannot serve for 10 years in total. Now, if Mnangagwa extend up to 2030, which means these provisions would have been violated. I don't know why this. He goes on to say therefore, I think their core form and substance stand rock solid, mirroring equivalence from 1980 and powering through every amendment in 1987, 2007, and 2013, proving their enduring, unyielding nature. Professor Jonathan Moyo is one of the individuals who can argue that this stone is orange, no matter how you can actually say, but Professor Jonathan Moyo, you see. So, someone responding, Mpumelelo Wondo, I'll take 3 comments because comment section also help us more. It says your historical analysis of section 95(2) and section 1431 are mere term length provision, unchanged since 1980, is accurate, but it misses the point. The 2-term limit is explicitly in section 91(2), introduced in 2013, disqualifying anyone after 2 terms under this constitution. Changing section 95 to 7 years would extend the length of time a person may hold office, triggering section 3287 ban on incumbent benefit, no extension for Mnangagwa, and potentially requiring a referendum per legal argument and ongoing court challenges. I don't know why people actually put it actually so clear for Professor Jonathan Moyo. This was Mpumelelo Wondo. And then Tendai, he says, Prof. Johnson, Chinamasa explained resolution number 1 at the ZANU-PF conference, akati not implementable because it requires 2 referendums. These are views of real lawyers. We expect not those bush lawyers like Ziambi who need to go back to law school. Virginia Mapiza is ED girlfriend. So it's not me, guys. It's Tenai. He's telling us that Virginia Mapiza is Mnangagwa's girlfriend. So in simple terms, they say Virginia Mapiza is the de facto first lady of Zimbabwe. Okay, in a fancy more term. And then Blabby, he says, Prof. J. Moyo collapses once you distinguish between term length and term limits. That earlier constitutions specified the duration of a presidential or parliamentary term is constitutionally irrelevant to the question of whether the number of terms may be kept. A provision can define how long a term lasts without addressing how many terms a person may serve. The 2013 Constitution did something qualitatively different. It introduced an explicit numerical ceiling on presidential tenure. Invoking historical continuity is therefore a category error. The presence of term length clauses in prior texts does not dilute, reinterpret, or compete with the later insertion of a clear qualification rule. Section 912 is not merely another drafting variation in a long lineage. It is a substantive democratic constraint deliberately designed to limit personal incumbents. Reading Section 95(2)b and 1431 as if they somehow neutralize or overshadow that constraint is legally unsustainable. The definitional move under Section 3281 is equally unconvincing. A term limit provision need not reside exclusively in clauses that mention limits by name. It exists wherever the Constitution restricts how long an individual may occupy office. Section 912 does exactly that. By contrast, Section 95 and 143 regulate institutional cycles and continuity of governance. They operate in different constitutional domains and cannot logically be set against one another. Politically, your argument risks legitimizing indefinite incumbency through semantic gymnastics. Constitutional democracies entrench term limits precisely to prevent the concentration of power, ensure leadership renewal, and reduce the systematic risk of personal rule. Treating structural provisions on election cycles as shields against explicit tenure caps undermines both the spirit and architecture of constitutionalism. Now, let me sum up so that in 25 minutes we are done. So, number one, my take, as I have indicated, Jonathan Moyo here is revenging to Mnangagwa, not using a gun, not using institutions, not going to court. Through his school, he went to the political school. He understands the impact of driving Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa to the pit. Mnangagwa is very close to the pit, and they understand that the person who is pushing him, and alongside those who are actually following, because they are desperate to remain relevant politically, because they are enjoying, they are eating the national cake alone. So they can desperately override on any advice that may actually say they are moving in the right direction, even though they are politically moving towards a trap. So here, number one, Professor Jonathan Moyo in 2017, who are the individuals who united to remove him? Is Chiwenga and Mnangagwa. They were friends, they were united. Now what he has successfully done, he has actually made them to fight, and up to a point of no return. And what does he wants to do? He wants them to fight until Mnangagwa is removed. And when Mnangagwa is removed, Professor Jonathan Moyo would have also revenged for what Mnangagwa did during the Cholocho declaration. Thank you very much. In summation, that's what I have. That is my submission. I rescue my case. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please don't forget to subscribe. You can also financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally press the thanks button and send us stars. Oganqobi Omhlabane is signing off. Let me love and